So very sore. And I did basically nothing all day. Hello everyone, my name is Ian, and welcome back to A Year and a Day, my Arthurian quest to better myself and pay for the sins of my family, among other things. Today's day was one without much going on, as of really, so no work or anything like that. It was just kind of a wake up late, go out, get out, print out about 100 pages of research for my hyperfixation, Spacewar, a game from 1962 that was essentially the progenitor of all other video games. Okay, here's a brief history on video games. So you've got basically all the stuff pre-1972. So you have your Williams tube, not Williams tube, your cathode ray tube amusement device, but it's not really a video game, some weird prototype thing, doesn't count. And then you've got the two board game programs of OXO and Drafts by Christopher Stracy. Who made OXO? I'll have to remember that as well. But OXO and Stracy's Drafts, those are the two, and they're technically video games, but also not really. They're more so just for thesis. They're part of like a thesis thing, or just training. Well, not Tracy's Drafts. And there was also Sheep and Gates. That was another one mixed in there as well. So you had all those early experiments. Then you skip forward to, you don't skip forward. You go back to things like Nimrod and Birdie the Brain, which aren't video games because they're technically like purpose-built machines, right? And they don't and they're just kind of indicator bulb type lamps. They don't really count either. You skip forward to William Higginbotham and Tennis for Two. That one does indeed fit the definition of a game, and but it falls into the trap of essentially having no particular relevance outside of the two times it was shown off. Many of these sort of early experiments failed to catch on or have any lasting impact, except, the explorations into AI and the development of the chess program and so on and so forth. But that's a different string. It all comes from like computers, Okay, and there's different strands. So computer games, because they're computer games. We don't reach video games until 1966. So right. I'm getting ahead of myself. So after William Higginbotham, Tennis for Two, gets dismantled, it's forgotten about. We go to MIT, 1962. Couple of guys at the Haynes Institute and the Model Railroad Club, the Model Railroad Club, are just kind of shooting the shit, and one of them, and they're talking about this computer, the PDP-1, and also a CRT-30 display that's coming to the university, and like, oh, hey, we can do some pretty cool stuff with this. And one of them, Stephen Russell, was like, hey, it'd be cool. Well, Stephen Russell, Martin Grates, and I need to learn how to pronounce it. 3 guys. They're talking, like, hey, what if we made like a space simulation type game. No, not a simulation, a dueling game, a space dueling game. And Gates and Steven Russell are like, Spacewar, and bam. So Steven Russell programs the first a computer game that displays on the CRT-30 display, and they create, custom controls for it. Other people like Alan Kotek and Peter Sampson and many others add parts to this game as well. So you get you get a magic star field, you get a gravity well, you get hyperspace, all these different effects, and it's all based around these three principles of one, the game's got to be replayable. One, it's got to be entertaining for the person playing it, for aka a game. And three, it's gotta push the limitations of the machine, and that was part of the intention of the program. But it was also, to have it fun. And so what ends up happening is Steve Russell, he programs this game, shows it off, it's a big success. It gets spread to various other different universities and starts getting modified. This is the first game to be to have game mods. This is the first game to receive widespread distribution. This is the first game to get sort of remakes or imitations of it. Everything coalesces around Spacewar. So Stephen Russell, he takes his game, he goes to Stanford in California. While he's at Stanford, this other guy, Nolan Bushnell, gets introduced to Spacewar. And he's like, whoa, you can make money off of this. And so Nolan Bushnell goes to Ted Dabney, shows him Spacewar, like, hey, we could turn this into a thing. And meanwhile, two other guys are also making their own Spacewar type game. And then now it's a race to see who can figure out how to turn Spacewar into a profitable thing. Spoiler alert, they never figured it out. But Nolan Bushnell is like, wait a minute, we can remove some bits and create just a dedicated machine to do this. Bada bing, bada boom. Nolan Bushnell, Ted and Dabney create Computer Space, the first ever arcade, video game arcade machine. They sell it to Nutty & Associates. I think they sell what they made, but it's considered a failure. But the two keep working together. Their company, Syzygy, becomes Atari. Atari hires Al Alcorn. Al Alcorn is told by Nolan Bushnell to make a paddle-style game because he went and saw a demonstration in Burlingame, California by Ralph Baer. Ralph Baer is important. Remember that 1966 thing that I mentioned? Ralph Baer is the guy who comes up with the idea of, hey, we should make games. Let's play games. He invents the first console, the brown box, which becomes the Magnavox Odyssey. And so these what's going out, and one of the programmers he works with, Bush, creates a tennis game, creates a table tennis game for the brown box prototype. Noel Bushnell sees this and is like, I bet I could do better, and goes to Alcorn and says, hey, make this little prototype. Alcorn tinkers around, adds a few bits and bobs, boom, Pong is invented. So without Spacewar, there is no computer space, there is no Pong, there is no video game industry, because Pong is the catalyst. It's the first game to be called a video game. Noel Bushnell coins the term for advertising purposes. quite literally 9 days at 9 days after Pong is released, an article by Rolling Stone comes out by its chief editor, Stephen Brand. Stephen Brand, 2 months prior, just hosted the first video game tournament. And you know what game it's for? It's for Spacewar. The Intergalactic Spacewar Olympics, 1972, October 19th. Yes. There's 3 champions. There's Bruce Baumgart. He wins the 5-player free-for-all. There's Slim Tovar and Robert Mass, aka REM. They win the doubles, and then Tovar also wins the 1v1 competition. So Bruce Baumgart but Bruce Baumgart won first, so he's considered the first video game champion. And considering that there has been no subsequent Intergalactic Spacewar Olympics, he still holds his title. And continues to practice and maintain his skill. He's actively good at Spacewar still, which is crazy. Anyway, all that to say, so it's crazy how all these, I consider Spacewar to me is the first true video game. In that not the first true video game. It's not the first true video game, but it's the most important one. It's one of the most important early video games because it established so many of the ideas behind the making of video games. The modding community, the idea of shareware. So many people were inspired. That Stephen Russell, that's what he's most proud about, is that inspired games like Asteroids, things like Star Trek, space travel. Apparently, this is a rumor that the game Space Travel by Kevin Thompson, I think it was Kevin Thompson. Sorry, it's something Thompson. I'm pretty sure it was Kevin Thompson. Which inspires him to make to create the Unix coding, to create Unix time. Without Asteroids, we don't have so many other games. Without Pong, we don't have Pong doubles, and we don't have Magnavox versus Atari. We don't have basically the entire reason we all love video games is because of Spacewar. And I just printed out a bunch of stuff about it because one day I want to make a movie. I want to show the world, tell people about Spacewar, because it's amazing how unique it is, because there were games before Spacewar and there were games after Spacewar. There are a lot of computer games like Hammurabi, which had the first game writer, who turns out was English, I think a New Hampshire school teacher. I don't remember her name, and I should. But that's crazy. I wouldn't have learned that if I hadn't done research into Spacewar. There's this big old book of different games written in BASIC that was collected, and I hadn't even heard of this stuff. But these are the games that would precede all your point and clicks, your adventure games. your labyrinthian style games, your puzzle games, your simulator games, your 4X games. It all comes back down to, well, military sims, yeah, and sims for like business colleges, but it all comes down back to sci-fi, and it all comes back down to Spacewar. So after all that, I went to the mall and I did another 5-mile walk. I know, complete change of pace. I did that, watched video. I watched this one video by Thomas Flight. He talked about, I believe the show's called The Bear, but he also talked about a film called Perfect Days. I actually went to go see Perfect Days. I was like, oh, this film is nominated for an Oscar. Maybe it is something interesting. I didn't particularly like Perfect Days when I first saw it. It felt very lacking in terms of action and stuff happening and things progressing for the character, and it kind of just ends but then Mr. Flight explained what the film's supposed to be about, and you know what, it actually makes a bit more sense. Sorry about that. I had to tap the screen because I'm running out of power. Anyway, so there's that. There's so much awesomeness to the creative medium, isn't there? That's why I want to make all these things. I want to do all these things, make all these things, tell so many stories. Because I want to celebrate the creative medium. After I did my walk, I kind of just, I grabbed McDonald's fries and an icy, sat in a Walmart parking lot before wandering around inside, and then came back home. It was very much a do-nothing day, but I do feel, you know, I did get something done, like getting all this material together. And I gotta give credit to all those people who had done the work before me, of talking to these people, collecting all this things, saving, preservation is important, y'all. Video games are the video game industry is 50 years old, 52 years old, 62 going back to Spacewar, 72 going back to OXO and Stray Cheese Drafts. 70 years. Video games are the youngest artistic medium that we have. Which is crazy, you know? That we're in such a even though it's only been 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, video games have evolved so much and become this dominant thing. And it in all of our lives, like whether even a small amount or just essential to our characters. It's like economics wise, it's bigger than everything. It allows for explorations of topics that no one ever done before. I saw a video today, and I can't remember its title, but it talked about how video games have become more accessible. Video games become more accessible to people, and more people are making games. It's so crazy. So crazy. should make a video game. I should. I really should. I don't... Well, tomorrow I've got work, and I gotta upload this in time for my one-a-day deadline. So we'll call it here. I think I spent most of the video just rambling about Spacewar. But hey, that's when you love something a lot, you just keep on talking. So this has been A Year and a Day, number 10. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.